Hello, 7-8, it's Mr. Nolan. This is just about trench warfare. There's some images here that are going to help you understand what trench warfare was actually like for the soldiers out there. And you can see a man here in a trench. We're going to talk a little bit about the parts of the trench and how they were built, what their structure was. So, a trench had multiple parts. If you had the time, you would get wood in and put duck boards in the bottom of your trench to try to keep your feet dry and out of the mud. You'd also want to have a step, a fire step up here, called a fire step because the men would step up there to be able to shoot out and fire their rifle. If you were lucky, your trench would have dugout sections that were the safest places to be in the frontline trenches, places that were dug out underneath the ground. And as you saw that photograph of the French soldiers in the reading, some of them were pretty nice. They could have bookshelves in them, or some gas lamps. Sometimes even they had electricity lines running out to them for light. So you see up here at the top they've got sandbags to give them a little bit of a wall at the top, often barbed wire also, to protect them from enemy soldiers attacking from no man's land. In the next slide you see a larger kind of a map of what a trench system would look like. Again, you can see that barbed wire and you can see the sandbags protecting the edge of the trench. Trenches were often made in these zigzag patterns to protect the men from a shell. You can imagine if an exploding shell flew in here and exploded here, the corner might protect men over in this section from shrapnel blowing around the corner. Or if a man did get in, say a soldier got into the trench here, the trenches being cornered like this made it so that one man couldn't fire his rifle and hit many, many soldiers all the way down the line. But again, there were many lines of trenches, the front line trench, and then these thin communication trenches to another trench line behind. If we go to the next slide, you can actually see a diagram, kind of a map of what these trench systems would look like. Oftentimes, like in this system, there'd be three lines, the front line trenches facing no man's land, the area that neither army occupied or controlled, some barbed wire in that front line, some communication trenches back to a secondary line, and then often they'd have an artillery line. Artillery is the military term, the historical term for these huge cannons that would shoot these exploding shells off to the other side. And the artillery is one of the main reasons you'd have a trench, to protect yourself and your fellow soldiers from exploding bombs by being crouched down in these skinny little trenches that might be able to protect you from the bombs. They were not very accurate. They couldn't shoot an exact point very easily. Looking ahead, you can see in this next image of what no man's land actually looked like. This is a photograph of no man's land from World War I. You can see there's debris in the field. You can see what looks like maybe a wheel, a wagon wheel in the middle. And this might have been a forest. There's a building here clearly. Life had been here. This is probably northern France or maybe Belgium. And people were living in this area maybe years or months before, but with the bombs of war, the forest has been destroyed. In this next image, we see what the trench system might have looked like from the sky. This is an actual aerial photograph of the trench system from a plane during World War I. If we move into the next picture, you can see this yellow area is no man's land between the two systems. And I've tried to draw in red and blue the two opposing armies' trench systems. You can really see clearly how the trenches are not built in straight lines, especially on the red side here. The red side seems to have a more developed trench system. And you can really see how they don't like to make straight lines because they're concerned about the danger of what could happen if the enemy gets in. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope this will help to supplement the reading from the book and help you guys get ready for the work you're going to do in the week ahead. Thanks so much. Take care, guys.